I'm in Pontypridd today to see Celc Pontypridd. That's the Pontypridd Hoard, a late Bronze Age hoard, about 3,000 years old, dating from 1150 to 800 BC. It's been displayed in Pontypridd Museum in the town centre next to the famous Hen Bont, the old bridge, historic site in itself. They've done a great job displaying these with some really useful information boards with it. As far as I'm aware, this is the first time the objects have gone on display in the town. Could be wrong about that, it's just the first time that I've heard about it. The hoard was only purchased by the town council in 2022 and was only discovered by metal detectorists in 2019, so this is still a very recent and significant find. Okay, so there are 6 bronze objects, bronze and alloy of copper, tin and lead, with traces of arsenic and silver. There's a socketed knife, 4 axe fragments, and also a cake-shaped copper ingot. Let's have a slightly closer look at them individually. This is the knife, or what remains of one. It isn't in great shape, only the socket and a fragment of the blade that remain in. This seems to be the best preserved object, a nearly complete socketed axe head, except for some wear through use. This axe is actually quite a common find in hoards in South Wales, has these decorative ribs. This is a similar axe head, socketed type. It isn't as well preserved as the last. The type is a Croxton Class B Southern English bronze rib axe to be precise. They have a hollow central socket into which the wooden haft was inserted. It's quite a strong design. This is another bronze ribbed axe head, very much eroded. The next couple of axe heads are a bit different. This one a possible Class D Meldreth faceted bronze axe. This is a fragment of a palstave axe head. It doesn't have a socket like some of the others. Instead it would be hafted by a forked handle. And there's the copper ingot. Okay, so some really interesting objects, valuable to those who own them, I'm sure. And for us, a tangible connection to our ancestors. The context in which they were found interests me too. As I said, they were found in boggy land. And that's actually how the landscape was 3,000 years ago too. These hoards do often seem to be deposited in a watery context. They're usually interpreted as votive offerings, maybe to a deity, or because the place itself was sacred. This is the artistic representation that's on the information boards with the display. The information also says that this hoard isn't the only evidence for Bronze Age communities in the area. Other objects have been discovered locally too, and we have recorded Bronze Age monuments. These ones on Coipen Mine Common nearby are referenced. This is the remains of a Bronze Age cane. It has a central kist. The capstone is also still visible, a little way off, and there are 8 curbstones. Sadly, the central kist was vandalised a few years ago when the wheelie bin was burned. It's been filled in now to protect it from further damage. This is how it looked years ago. I actually remember it being open when I was a child. Interestingly, it has been archaeologically excavated, but in 1830, and the practice wasn't what it is now. The cane was originally covered in an earthy mound, which was scattered for the excavation. The records of it are really poor, but in the kist we are told that they did find burnt bones and grave goods, which was described as buttons, probably the rivets of a dagger, which is now sadly lost. Not even aware of any drawings or detailed descriptions. There's some interesting standing stones nearby too. Followers of Britain's hidden history may remember the late Ross Broadstock's visit here a couple of years ago. The video is online and I'll link to it. By the way, if you do follow Britain's hidden history, these are some of the monuments that form the hub of what they say is a Babylonian landscape zodiac mapped across the landscape of South Wales. This is the other monument referenced by the information boards with the hoard. It's a round barrow on Twyn Howell, the highest point overlooking the town, shortly to be the site of a massive wind farm, like most of the rest of the ancient landscape of Uplands Glamorgan. Great view from up here. There's a couple of other ancient sites nearby too, it's not mentioned. These are the Carneri Llwydion, the grey canes. They were excavated in 1753, which is bad news for preserving finds. It's said that urns were excavated from here, but sadly smashed by the workmen. It's a common theme here, isn't it, of generally no care being given to our ancient monuments. Who's seen my video on the damage made to this cut-mark stone nearby? This is a valuable piece of Bronze Age art, which is sadly dug up by a local man for an unknown reason. Cadw thankfully did take action against the man on this occasion, but more stones are coming to light all the time, like this one discovered nearby, which according to Professor George Nash, a specialist in rock art from the University of Liverpool, could be the remains of a Neolithic burial ritual monument, or a significant meeting place or a landscape marker. This may be associated with further rock art, fallen standing stones, kiss burials, and cairns of late Neolithic or early Bronze Age date found in Mynydd Eglwys and other upland areas within the locality. Here's a couple of other interesting standing stones, possibly the remains of a much larger monument. It actually overlooks the area where the hoard was found. Some interesting earthworks up here too. Some Bronze Age ones, and also the Singhennydd Dyke. I have to say that I think the museum has done a great job in displaying the town's heritage. It's only a small space. There's stuff here on the town's well-known industrial past, coal mining, chain works, and then the transport network that supported it, the Glamorganshire Canal, and the Taffrail Railway. There's also stuff on this interesting cultural past. The town is very well known for its music. Tom Jones, male voice choirs, plenty of other singers too. Famous song Hayden Lad Van Hadai was written here too, the Welsh national anthem, written by two famous residents, a father and son, Evan James and James James. As I say, this is a well-known aspect of the town's heritage, but a couple of objects catch my eye here. This is the harp of James James's son Taliesin James, a famous harpist in his day. The harp, of course, an instrument closely associated with Welsh national identity. And then there's this certificate accepting Taliesin James into the gorsedd of Glamorgan and Gwent. There's some notable signatures here as Gorseddogion. Myfyr Morgannwg, styled as Archdderwydd yn Ysbrydain. Owen Morgan, bardic name Morien, famous writer and historian in the late 19th and early 20th century. And also Taliesin James's grandfather, the great bard Evan James, signed here with his bardic name Iean Abiago. The certificate says that Taliesin James had graduated as Pencerdd Morgannwg, chief poet of Glamorgan, the gorsedd and Gwyl Alban Arthan, that's the winter solstice festival. They were known to hold these ceremonies at the Mine Chwyf, Rocking Stone, a glacial boulder also on Coedben Mine in the area of the kissed and standing stones that I showed you earlier. Before this, Iolo Morgannwg is known to have had some of his gorseddi here. It's a famous and divisive name, isn't it? His later followers carried on this tradition and erected this stone circle around the Mine Chwyf, which they believed to be an ancient Druidic shrine. It's an interesting aspect of the town's heritage. But the names on this certificate are important figures in the wider modern Druidic thought also. I call it modern. They wouldn't have even agreed with that. They saw this practice as something that had continued at Pontypridd ever since the pre-Roman times, the original Druidic period, although this is doubted by most today. Anyway, I'll be looking into this a bit more in the future videos. If you've made it to the end, well done, and thanks for watching.